Growth of towns under colonial rule. At many places in India, new towns developed to meet the needs of colonialism. The administrative centers ranged from the large presidency cities, Madras, Calcutta, and Bombay, to the towns around district headquarters. Towns also grew around residencies, as in Lucknow, Pune, and Hyderabad. With the introduction of railways, towns sprang up at important railway junctions like Mughal Sarai. Army cantonments set up to check foreign invasion, and internal revolts developed into townships like Danapur in Patna. British built towns in the hills where they could spend time away from the hot and the humid climate of plains. The hill stations were smaller homes away from homes, dotted with English architectural monuments such as a mall, a church, and central avenues. Hill stations were to serve as special spaces for the colonial masters and further emphasize the differences between Europeans and Indians. When the real hot weather set in, all of them would pack and move away to hill station. Of all the hill stations, Shimla is the most well known. It was from Shimla that British government conducted its affairs during the hot season of the year. Other hill stations are Nainital, Mussoorie, Darjeeling, and Ooty. They are popular tourist resorts even today. The tea and coffee plantations generated yet another type of settlement in the plains of Assam, Kerala, Tamil Nadu, and Karnataka. These settlements were brought about by forced settlements of native laborers who were brought to clear away forest and work on the plantations. The plantation settlements were never very large in size but had distinct urban characteristics in order to provide comfort to the European owners. Differences between the old and new urban centers. Traditionally, Indian towns and cities were very well defined compact spaces, often enclosed with fort walls, surrounded by a deep moat. Hence, many of these cities were called walled cities. The walls and moats were meant to protect the city from invaders. The fort walls were usually thick and high. They had high gates called darwazas, which were meant for people to come in or go out of the cities. These doors were kept locked and were opened only on specific occasions. Each city was divided into thana or wards. They were further subdivided into mohallas. In 18th century, Delhi is said to have had 18 thanas and 600 mohallas. The administrative structure of urban areas was different from rural areas. In villages, panchayat system of administration was followed. The towns under the charge of kotwal with thanedars supervising the mohalladars and darogas. The architectural style introduced by the British was an expression of the political aspirations. The new towns and cities vastly differed from the old ones. The differences mainly pertain to the size, design, layout, population, and administration. Many of the new urban centers were much bigger than the older ones. The new cities had broad roads and open spaces in the form of lawns, parks, and playgrounds. These cities also had large public buildings. Government offices, markets, and clock towers appeared in all these cities. Many of these cities had cantonments built on the European plan where defense forces and their family resided. They were usually a little away from the main city. The cantonments normally had tree-lined avenues. Some of the cities of British period, such as Madras, had a white town where the British lived and a black town where the native population resided. Sometimes a wall separated the white town and black town. Many of the new cities grew by absorbing and acquiring neighboring villages. This is particularly true in case of Madras, which has steadily expanded by adding a string of adjoining villages. Madras got some villages as gifts from local kings, other villages were acquired by war. Many of these old villages constitute the main residential localities of the city now. The British slowly introduced new forms of administration in the new cities. Lord Cornwallis introduced a new code of regulations in 1793. Trivia. Delhi became the capital of India in 1911. It was planned by Edwin Lutyens and Sir Herbert Baker.